Joining me now, retired Brigadier General and author of Besieged, General A.J. Tata. General, good to see you.
Great to see you, Liz. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. General, let me ask you the question of the day. This is about Secretary Carter's comments that we just heard there. In your opinion, your military experience, how likely is it that Iraqi forces combined with U.S.-led coalition forces will actually retake the city of Mosul from ISIS before January 20th, before President Obama's left office?
It would not surprise me if President Obama redeployed all U.S. forces before he left office, but that would have nothing to do with events on the ground, much like his military strategy has been for 8 years. I think it is highly unlikely, Liz, that we will have Mosul secure within the next couple of months. We've been telegraphing it for about 6 months, and so I would say it would take at least half of that to reclaim the city. There could be this pell-mell rush. We've talked about the Golden Bridge out, sort of the Sun Tzu maxim of if you want to get them out of the city, leave them a path out and let them escape to fight another day. So there's always that. But I listened to Ash Carter talk, and it's obvious he's more comfortable in the ivory towers of Harvard University than he is on the hardscrabble battlefield of Iraq. He waffled. He's just has very little experience in this field, and so it's good that we're going to be getting a guy like Mattis who knows what he's doing into that position.
Right, and you and I have talked about this so often the last couple of months. We've talked in particular about how the Islamic State is still holding on to the urban center of Mosul. And the fight is getting nastier the closer Iraqi forces are getting there. What would lead, besides politics, I guess here, what would lead Secretary Carter to think it's possible in the next 6 weeks, that's not a very long time, that Iraqi forces might be able to retake Mosul?
Yeah, he just doesn't know, Liz. He doesn't have the experience. He's got no touch point from which to make any kind of calculated guess. That's all he's doing is throwing stuff out there. He's in this exalted position, and he gets the media in his face, and he starts babbling about stuff. He has no concept of what it takes to fight and reclaim a major urban center like Mosul. It's a major trade route, major finance center, major oil trade area, major hydroelectric area. They're not leaving that. If they leave that, they've lost their center of gravity, and so they're not leaving that without a significant fight. And we could see a capitulation like we saw with the Taliban in 2001. But all they did, they took that Golden Bridge into the Pakistan Northwest Frontier Province. I don't know that there's going to be any Golden Bridge here. I don't know that it's really been thought about from a presidential or secretary level about strategy and so forth. We got Sean McFarlane and Townie Townsend over there fighting a good fight, but it's Iraqi forces primarily on the ground.
Right, and it has to be both. It has to be the tactics used on the battleground and the strategy to enable the tactics. And if you don't have both, then you're not gonna have that end goal that you want. To be honest, it sounds political to me. It sounds like Secretary Carter wants to claim credit preemptively so that this can be something that Barack Obama puts on his legacy resume, if you will. But General, let me switch topics on you just for a second. Speaking of January 20th, the day that President-elect Trump will be inaugurated as President of the United States, the Islamic State is promising what they're calling Bloody Friday. They're promising attacks here in the United States the day that Trump is elected. General, in your experience, are threats of this sort on Inauguration Day, are those credible?
Yeah, I think it's a credible threat, Liz. I think that historically, during transitions of power, whether it's at the unit level and a combat zone or at the presidential level in some country, that is when the enemy, if you're engaged in combat or in a war, that is the best time to strike if you're if you have a foe, because it presses the legacy of the old guy. B, it catches you right in the middle of the switch where you have newer people that may or may not be as experienced as the previous people. In this case, fortunately, we'll have more experienced people. And then 3, it catches the new president in a decision-making cycle, deciding how, if he is sworn in and, from day one, and Donald Trump will be unlike Barack Obama in this regard. From day one, he'll be owning this, and he won't be blaming Obama as Obama blamed Bush for 8 years for whatever malady befell his presidency. So yes, I believe it's credible. Yes, it is a tried and true tactic of any enemy to attack during
Right,
training.
and I think you and I have talked about this before. Again, terrorism, the tactic of terrorism is all about power. It's about a certain force not having the power that they want, so using this showy, this terrible, this heinous way in order to get attention, to further their own power. And I think that an attack on an inauguration day would just be along that same line. They'd be trying to prioritize what the new president has to handle first, which would, in a certain sense, give them some power over what the United States president would be doing. But General, the recruiting videos that ISIS is putting out for this Bloody Friday, it's almost like they're advertising jobs here. It's new English. They're looking for new English-speaking operatives for Western targets. So to me, that speaks to lone wolf attacks, not a large-scale attack like September 11th.
Yeah, I think we could probably expect a variety of different types of attacks. We don't know what they're planning. Unlike the Obama administration, ISIS isn't going to identify and say that they're planning a 9/11 or whatever. They can over cyber media and try to radicalize people to do some of these attacks, and they'll probably get a few takers on that. And so I would not be surprised with attacks on Inauguration Day.
Right, and I would agree with you in a sense, because ISIS has claimed responsibility for the Ohio State attacker. That was certainly a lone wolf attack. That's their new strategy. That's what they're trying to do. General, we're out of time, but thank you so much for being here. It was great to talk to you. All right, guys, we'd like to know your thoughts on the matter, too. Tweet me, Liz_Wheeler. We'll be back in 1 minute.